All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matt Westmoreland. I am the vice chair of the, what committee is this? Community Development Human Services Committee, standing in for Chair Dozier, who is about to welcome his second child into the world. I am joined by my colleagues, Jason Winston, Antonio Lewis, Keisha Waits, and we will be joined by one or two others here on, but at the moment we constitute a quorum, and so we can get started. And I will do that by making a motion to adopt our agenda, seconded by Councilman Lewis. If we can open that vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays.
4 yeas, 0 nays. The agenda is adopted. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Second by Lewis.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
4 yeas, 0 nays. The minutes are approved. Next up is public comment. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 folks who have signed up to speak, 3 minutes each, and we're going to start with Susie Ockleberry. Welcome.
Good afternoon, members of City Council.
Afternoon.
My name is Susie Ockleberry. Thank you for allowing me to address you this afternoon regarding installing a historic marker at the Isabel Gates Webster Park to memorialize the achievements of this remarkable woman. Atlanta has such a rich history, but too many times we see statues, streets, and parks named for historical figures without any idea about the important contributions that person made to our city. That should not happen with Judge Webster or the park named in her honor. As many of you know, the Black women who were an integral part of the civil rights movement in Atlanta often did not receive the same recognition and accolades which men were accorded. That should not happen with Judge Webster or the park named in her honor. At a time when there were so few women attorneys and even fewer Black women attorneys in 1958, Judge Webster was more than just a first. She was a trailblazer. She used her law degree not to seek fame and fortune, but Judge Webster worked tirelessly to ensure equal opportunities in housing, employment, and education for those in her community. She served on the board of the NAACP, the boards of the Urban League. She served on Leadership Atlanta, the Gate City Day Nursery Association, the National Association of Negro Business and Professional Women's Clubs, United Way, and many more organizations, all while working for the disenfranchised and being a wife, a mother of 4 children, and a grandmother. Not many women have accomplished that feat then or now. I stand before you today not just as a friend of the family, but as a Black female attorney who was inspired by Judge Webster to fight for the ability of diverse judges to be appointed to our courts and for diverse attorneys to run for judicial office. Judge Webster is one of the first Black females to sit on the bench of the City of Atlanta Municipal Court. The People's Court paved the way for folks who look like me to sit on the bench when that was not even possible when Judge Webster first started practicing law. If that was Judge Webster's only contribution to our city, it would be enough for a park and historical marker. But as I just mentioned, her life, her legacy is so much more than that, and the people who visit her park should know why she so rightfully deserved to be honored. I ask that you not let our history be forgotten. Do not let us honor our heroes and our sheroes with monuments without providing visitors with the why that person is worthy of such a prestigious honor, especially for Judge Isabel Gates Webster and her park. Thank you.
Thank you. Solicitor Carter.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair Westmoreland and all the esteemed members of this committee. As you know, I am before you many times in my capacity. I consider it an honor to be here in the capacity not only as solicitor, but as a citizen of the city of Atlanta that is recommending this honor for Isabel Gates Webster. Some years ago, before my mom and I, before she passed away, we were going through some of her papers, and I saw the name Isabel Gates Webster. I was a young student, and I said, "Mom, who is Isabel Gates Webster?" She said, "Son, have a seat." I sat down, and she went through so many of her accomplishments, of which we are so proud. She called some other names too, but I had no idea of how she was on the vanguard of establishing a way for young African-American female attorneys. I had an opportunity, once I became an attorney and once I became a city official, to actually interact with her. She was the epitome of professionalism. She had a certain style, and there was just this quiet determination that you would see. And sometimes when I'm going forward with my duties, I was getting ready to do some things, she had the grace and the dignity to just pull me aside and said, let's talk about this. Let's think about this. She bears all the respect in the world. And I certainly urge you to please consider this honor for her. She was truly a trailblazer, the epitome of professionalism, super smart, super sharp, and a person that continues to make Atlanta proud to this day. You see many examples of her legacy, not only her family, but the many, many African-American attorneys, male and female, who continue to practice and bring forth service to the city of Atlanta. Please keep her in mind for this honor and any more that should come down the line. And I really appreciate your time to listen to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up, Patrice Perkins Herker.
Good morning, Mr. Vice Chair and other members of the City Council and Committee. I'm here as one of those people, as a church member, as a teenager, who interacted with Isabel Gates Webster, and she inspired me just by her grace and the way in which she carried herself. I wasn't necessarily at the time a friend of the family, but over the course of time, our lives did intertwine more because of her daughter. But however, she was somebody who I could talk to. I was just someone in the community who came to church on Sunday. She was someone I could find out about the practice of law, who I could imagine myself being like, because she was there. There weren't a lot of black women attorneys. She was being an attorney in '58, and I was just born then, and that she was a pioneer. And as a teenager, it made the world of difference to have someone like this be a role model for you. But over the course of my life, and as I evolved and became an attorney, I realized just how hard a road she had to go in order to accomplish everything that she did. But she was never the one on the headlines of whether she started a broil or fighting people. She was quiet, she was effective, and she got things done. And I, for one, appreciate who she was, and I appreciate what she meant to me. But as my life progressed even further, I got a chance to work with a friend who's here to speak, I hope later, but I don't know, because he didn't sign in. My law partner, Ronald Freeman, who was her godchild, and he started this movement to get this park done. And I was there at the dedication of the park. It was in our community, it was our neighborhood, it's around the corner from where she lived. But the park is special because it has a track that is made out of rubber, shredded tires, so it's very unique in the fact that it is a beautiful, well-maintained facility. I often visit from time to time to take my dog walking, and I think about the woman. This monument will let other people who are too young to even know who she was, other people who never got a chance to interact with her, at least have the information in writing to go back and, as they say, they will Google it and make certain that they know who she is. She is worthy of this, and I applaud the City Council and this committee for making that decision to move forward with this recognition plaque.
Thank you. And you are in luck because Mr. Freeman is next on the list.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair,
Afternoon.
and all of you all that are here today. My name is Ronald Freeman. I want you all to think in your minds of that galvanizing force that you experienced growing up, whether it was a person or institution. But I grew up in Southwest Atlanta. I went to the Atlanta Public Schools. I was raised primarily in District 10 when C.T. Martin was the city council person. City council person Andrea Boone was his chief of staff. And it was befitting that she then became the city council person. I lived on Harlan Road, and the Webster family lived on Fielding Lane. And the two roads are parallel. In fact, you could look out of our back door and see through to Fielding Lane. Now, when I use the term galvanizing force, when we first moved to Peyton Forest, I did not know that Judge Webster was a lawyer or a judge. I just remember going around to their house, or her kids coming around to ours. We're playing together. I remember going over there because she served such nice treats. And her sons, Michael, who is here, Donnie, the oldest son, and Jerry, the middle son, we used to play the electric football games. And we would compete against each other. And they had this very elaborate electric football game down in their basement, and we would have tournaments. And we would do that on holidays. On Thanksgiving, all the people would come together and we'd play what's called the Turkey Bowl. And we played the Turkey Bowl at the park that later became Isabel Gates Webster Park. Every Thanksgiving, we always got together and played football. Of course, as time has gone on, we don't do that anymore. She was the first lawyer that I could touch, talk to about anything. In fact, back at that time, she was the first African-American lawyer that I knew. Later, when she became a judge, the neighborhood felt like the whole neighborhood was celebrated. You had Judge Webster, you had Judge Powell. But this was really a neighborhood thing. That park has been such a galvanizing force for our community. Again, we played games there. My mother still lives there. Mr. Webster still lives in the family home. My mother still lives in the family home. It's something about the genes of the folks in the 10th District. But Mr. Webster's 93, my mother's 96. Mind is sharp, they are doing well, they love their home, and we love going there and visiting them. That community is very well preserved. But it's not just the 10th District, it's all the districts that surround that. That's Atlanta. We moved to Atlanta in 1960. We began to build our house. In 1962, my father was stationed to move, and we had to move to Alaska. We finished the house, but we ended up renting it out. In 1962, that's when the Great Wall was built across Peyton Road, literally 500 feet down from where C.T. Martin eventually lived. By the time we came back from Alaska, some 8 years later, that's when I met the Webster family. We attended elementary school together. We attended middle school together. Donnie and I attended college together. I hope that you all will allow this park, which has been such a galvanizing force for our community, to have the information of a marking so that generations to come, they will know who Isabel Gates Webster is. I know it, it's in my head, I can speak it. But there are so many people, the community is changing, they need to know who she is. A female lawyer, an African-American female lawyer in 1958 to the State Bar of Georgia is an amazing feat. A City of Atlanta judge in 1980 is an amazing feat. To raise 4 healthy children, productive, independent children, who are ambassadors for the Webster family is an amazing feat.
Thank you, sir.
And I just hope, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. P. Andrew Patterson.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is P. Andrew Patterson. I practice law here in the city of Atlanta. I'm pleased to speak in favor of establishing a historical landmark for my friend, my mentor, my heroine, Isabel Gates Webster. Isabel Gates Webster was one of very few black female attorneys in the city of Atlanta when I began my practice in 1969. I was fortunate in that Maynard Jackson asked me to become a partner in his law firm, Jackson, Patterson, and Parks. Isabel joined that law firm as an associate. I was aware of her outstanding reputation, but I had not had an opportunity to engage with her. Now, I knew that there was something special about Isabel Gates Webster. I knew that she went to law school in Massachusetts in the 50s, Boston University School of Law. I knew from my experience, having attended law school in Massachusetts as well, that she must have endured tremendous obstacles as she pursued her quest to become an attorney. She was not only black, but she was also female. I understand clearly what she must have had to do in order to successfully complete the course of study at BU. I still remember Ladies' Day at my law school where women were given the opportunity once a year to ask and respond to questions. When Isabel joined the law firm, I quickly realized that in order to get the best advice in terms of how to handle a case, how to analyze the facts, how to develop a strategy, that Isabel Webster was my go-to person. That's the person that I had confidence in to give me the advice that I needed. Isabel excelled not only as an associate in Jackson, Patterson, and Parks, but she established herself as an outstanding civil rights attorney. She was one of the attorneys involved in the lawsuit against Georgia Power for employment discrimination. That case was settled for $2.1 million, which was the largest settlement under the Civil Rights Act at that time. And she was involved in many other lawsuits, including one against Dobbs House, but she worked closely with the NAACP Legal Defense Fund in handling successfully these matters on behalf of civil rights for all. I was disappointed when Isabel left our firm, but I was gratified to learn that, and I think this is important, that she joined my law school classmate, Marva Jones Brooks, as her first assistant as in the city attorney's office for the city of Atlanta. So I knew that the legal affairs of the city of Atlanta were in good hands, no question about it. Isabel was a pleasant, thoughtful individual. And sometimes we misjudge people and because they don't fit the idea that you have in your head as to what it takes to be successful and aggressive and achieve the best results. But I can tell you that Isabel Webster was a fighter. And I'm pleased that the city of Atlanta is considering establishing a historic marker noting her many accomplishments. She was a warrior for civil rights and she was a proud and persistent promoter of female attorneys. She was a wonderful mother and wife. My only regret is that she left us too soon.
Thank you, sir. Our final speaker of the afternoon is Miss Andre Jordan.
Giving honor to the Spirit of God, to everyone that's here. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is reproach to any people. Proverbs 14, chapter 34, verse. National righteousness and national sin have opposite effects. Exaltation versus reproach. Jesus' word asks us to be a Christ-like fathers, mothers, and children that will bless more than evil deeds that destroys. James Griff. He that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it until life eternal. St. John 12, chapter 25th verse. Whenever we see love and hate contrasted, we should understand that love for the one is so undivided that it may appear as hate for the other, although it is not necessarily so. For James Griff, to be a Christ-like man will help men more having power than having power to be a worldly man. In thy filthiness is lewdness, because I have purged thee, and thou wast not purged. Thou shalt not be purged from thy filthiness any more till I have caused my fury to rest upon thee. Ezekiel 24th chapter 13 verse. It in a veritable catalog of the nation's sins, every guilty party is singled out for judgment. The false prophets who have devoured souls, the priests who have violated my law, the prince who are like wolves ravening the prey, and the people who have used oppression and exercised robbery. Because Jesus hates sin, we must fight sin in ourselves. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who hold the truth in unrighteousness. Romans 1st chapter 18 verse. The wrath is not the revelation of a future judgment of God or the great tribulation, but a present revelation that parallels the present revelation of God's righteousness. I didn't call you to be holy, Jesus did. And because I want to live holy, I got to help others to live holy. Because it's not something you do by yourself. It's Christ's Spirit leading you in what he have you to do to obey him. And I thank Christ for this opportunity. To obey Jesus is life, to disobey Jesus is death. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our public comment. Thank you to all of you who came and shared your thoughts with us this afternoon. Colleagues, before we move into presentations, we have 3 folks, I believe, who are here for appointments. And so we're going to skip just for a second to communications and start with item number 2.
Item number 2 is 23R4543, a resolution by Councilmember Jason Dozier reappointing Ms. Rosalind Elliott to serve on the Atlanta Housing Authority Board of Commissioners as a resident commissioner for a term of 1 year, scheduled to begin upon the approval of this resolution and for other purposes.
Ms. Elliott. Oh, yeah, please, if you'll come down and just briefly introduce yourself or reintroduce yourself to the committee.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair, City Council, DJ. Thank you all for having me down today. I would love to serve again on the Board of Commissioners for Atlanta Housing. Again, my name is Rosalind Elliott. I am a 1975 graduate of the Booker T. Washington High School and a 1979 graduate of Spelman College. I was born and raised in Atlanta. I presently live at 2240 Peachtree Road, Peachtree Senior Towers. I will continue to serve my people. I look out for the seniors and all the residents for the city of Atlanta who live in affordable housing. I serve on the Real Estate Committee, on the Board of Commissioners, and I chair the Resident Relations Committee. Thank you again for listening, and if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Thank you for your service and happy upcoming centennial for Booker T. Washington High School. Ms. Waits.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is it turned on? Mm-hmm. So one, I'm fully supportive of the appointment, and I thank you for your willingness to serve. I'd like to partner with you. Over the, 2 years that I've been a part of the City Council, I've received a number of complaints from residents that live within the AHA property system, and I'd like to work with you to figure out how we can streamline that process and get them the resources and or access that it is that they seek. So I have a list of buildings that have some concerns, and I'd like to work with you to figure out a favorable outcome. And so again, congratulations on your appointment, and I'm looking forward to serving with you.
Yes, ma'am. I'm looking
Sounded
forward
like a
to
motion
working
to
with
me. So motion by Waits, second by Bakhtiari. Please open that vote. Speaking of, we've been joined by Councilmember Bakhtiari, which is how she was able to second that motion.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
4 yeas, 0 nays, that item is favorable. Item number 3.
Number 3 is 23R4544, a resolution by Councilmember Jason Dozier appointing Mr. Tony Martin to serve on the Atlanta Housing Authority Board of Commissioners as a resident commissioner for a term of 1 year, scheduled to begin upon the approval of this resolution and for other purposes.
Mr. Martin, thank you for joining us. If you would speak briefly about your desire to continue serving.
Good afternoon. I'm Tony Martin. I reside here in Atlanta back in '99 from South Carolina, originally from Alabama, born and raised in Alabama. Earned my associate degree in hotel restaurant management, Carver Bishop State College in Mobile, Alabama. I retired 2012 with Atlanta Life Insurance Company, which used to be Atlanta Life Financial Group. And I owned my own catering service during the same time. I enjoyed having the flexibility to assist others while being a manager working in the hospitality field, restaurants and hotels, and which is the reason why I am interested in serving on the Board of Commissioners, because of the flexibility, diversity, and commitment I've shown in support, respect by implementation, and transparency I've earned during the years as association president with Atlanta Housing for over the past 8 years. It would be a pleasure to help build a culture of recognition, both individually and board success.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Motion by Bakhtiari, second by Winston.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays, that item is favorable. Thank you, sir. And then on to item number 47.
Number 47 is 23C5118, a communication from Councilmember Byron D. Amos, District 3, appointing Ms. Linda Adams to serve as a member of the Commission on Aging. This appointment is for a term of 4 years.
Ms. Adams, welcome. Thank you for your willingness to serve. If you will introduce yourself to the committee.
All right, my name is Linda Adams, resident for 20 plus years in the Vine City neighborhood. Since I've been in the neighborhood for the last 4 years, I was working with seniors. I noticed how the senior was being mistreated, forgotten, and some of them didn't know when to speak, how to speak, or why they should speak. So I started an organization called Westside Seniors on the Rise for the last 4 years. And what we do, we have the seniors to come out and enjoy themselves and others with Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, and the finale is a luncheon that's done during the Christmas time. So it is a pleasure for me to accept this appointment by Mr. Amos, who is my neighbor, because he knows my passion that I have for my seniors, and I look forward to serving.
Thank you. Mr. Lewis.
Ms. Adams, I've seen your fiery, your passion past couple of days, and I can't wait to see what you add to the Commission on Aging. I call my seniors my seenagers in District 12, and so I'm excited to see what you bring to the city.
Thank you.
And I move approval.
That sounds like a motion. Motion by Lewis, second by Waits. Please open that vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays. That item is favorable. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Next up, we're going to slide back into presentations. Colleagues, we have two, one written and will not be presented verbally from Atlanta Housing that is in your packet. Invest Atlanta is in the house, and they are going to provide their quarterly update.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Noah Downer. I have the pleasure of serving as the Senior Vice President of Economic Development at Invest Atlanta. We have a toolkit to help businesses of all sizes be created in the city, expand in the city, and move to the city. I'm excited to talk to you about one of the programs that we have, which is the Wells Fargo Atlanta Open for Business Fund. This was a $20 million grant provided by Wells Fargo in conjunction with United Way that was launched in early 2022 that goes through the end of 2024. The focus of this program is to help small business owners secure wealth. And wealth is really important for us because we understand that by securing assets for your business, when you own just a little bit more of your business, it ultimately can lead to greater financial stability as well as long-term wealth creation. The Atlanta Open for Business Fund has 5 different components of the program. We'll go into each of the 5. I'll provide you with an overview of the requirements of those programs, how we're doing in terms of dispersing those funds. Then I'll also give you a success story that highlights one of the small businesses that have taken advantage of these unique programs. We have a number of success stories that I'd be happy to share with you. In fact, our team goes out on a monthly basis alongside Wells Fargo and United Way to visit with these small business owners to hear about how these programs have helped them in driving wealth for them. The first program that we'll talk about is a grant program. It's the Commercial Property Improvement Grant. This provides $50,000 for small business owners to perform interior and exterior enhancements or improvements to their commercial properties. There are a couple of program requirements that we have for this program. You must be in a commercially zoned property. The property itself can be no greater than 15,000 square feet, and it has to be at least 10 years old. In addition to that, there is a 10% match that we require from each of the participants, so they're investing alongside us in that program. So to date, well, there's a $4.3 million budget that's associated with that. To date, nearly $2.6 million has been dispersed. I should actually say to date through the end of October 2023. In the next couple of days, we'll be wrapping up our November reporting. So every piece of information that you see in today's presentation will be through the end of October. So nearly $2.6 million has been distributed to those small businesses. You may ask me, Noah, what are the types of small businesses that are taking advantage of this program? We see a significant amount of beauty salons as well as food service businesses alongside other ones like real estate and other groups. That means that there's $1.7 million that's left to be dispersed, but that number is one that we feel is easily attainable. In fact, we're oversubscribed for the program itself, so have no concerns in terms of dispersing those funds as we move into 2024. I wanted to highlight Jason Davis, the owner of Ice Creamoo. Jason took advantage of the Commercial Property Improvement Grant to open up a vegan ice cream shop in the Cascade Heights neighborhood. In fact, we went to a ribbon cutting a couple of months ago alongside Councilmember Collier Overstreet, being able to celebrate the opening of the small business in that neighborhood. The next program that I'll highlight for you all is related to loan programs. So the first one I mentioned was a grant. The next couple of ones that you'll hear about are low interest loans. Each of these loan programs are maxed out at interest rates no higher than 3%. So you'll see 1 to 3%, which is significantly below what the market rate is, and really targets those businesses that have a tougher time accessing your historical or everyday credit facilities. So this is the Atlanta Recovery Loan Program. There's $6.2 million overall that's in this budget. Loans cannot exceed $100,000, and funds can be used for property acquisition, property improvement, as well as equipment, fixtures, and inventory. You'll see that there's that $6.2 million that I referenced on the previous page. So far, there have been 46 loans that have been closed and funded, totaling $3.6 million. There are 4 loans that have been approved but have not been closed yet. Then there's an active pipeline of 11 loans. So what do these 3 categories mean? Well, closed and funded means that it's gone through the application process, it's gone to our credit review committee that has external bankers who ultimately give us guidance on what are the best loans to approve. And then they've been funded, so they've gone to the closing attorney and money has been given to them. Approved but not closed means that it's gone through our credit review process. We're just waiting for the final closing documents to be able to disperse the funds. And then those 11 that are in the pipeline mean that they're waiting to be presented to the credit review committee, which is actually later this week, if I'm not mistaken. So you see that there's $2.4 million that's remaining. This program has seen a significant amount of acceleration in the last 6 or so months. We close between 5 and 10 loans every single month, so we have no concerns as well with reaching the targets in terms of dispersing these funds. So similarly, I wanted to provide that I'll give you an overview of some of the industries. We see food service businesses in here, so everything from snack stores to restaurants to even groceries. Professional services, so that means like accounting firms. We see retail, healthcare, and wellness as well. So this is Solshine. Solshine, if I'm not mistaken, is located in the Kirkwood neighborhood. They were able to take advantage of a $100,000 loan to expand their offerings for infant pre-K, preschool, and school-aged education, care, and services.
They're located in East Atlanta, too.
And East Atlanta, and I believe in Decatur as well. I think they have 3 locations. This is the last loan program that actually there's one that follows. So this is the Atlanta Startup Growth Program. This is our most recently launched program. It launched about 2 months ago. The focus for this program is on tech startups, so a little bit different than the previous loan programs that you saw that focus a little bit more on B2B or B2C, typical retail spaces. So this is for tech companies that we know have the potential for growth, and growth here means hiring. So for up to $150,000, rates not to exceed 3%. And you must, of course, be a startup and have been incorporated in the last 5 years. So trying to target the startups who are earlier on in their journey and who have not had as much funding from your typical VC or typical credit. This program, we have not dispersed any funds. We've had a significant amount of interest, however, with 65 applicants, with 8 applications that have been submitted. So we'll be going, a number of them actually, to our credit review committee this month. With the loans being up to $150,000, we anticipate anywhere between 6 to 13 loans coming out of this program. And we don't have any concerns with reaching the target. In fact, we believe we'll disperse these funds by Q2, if not Q1 next year. The last loan program that I'll talk about is the Atlanta Commercial Down Payment Assistance Loan Program. So this loan program is set up to really drive the purchasing of commercial property in the city. So for those businesses who may have been leasing for an extended period of time, we wanted to provide a tool for these businesses so that they could purchase the property where they're working from. It's a unique model that we have here. So it's up to 50% of the project, of the commercial cost, not to exceed $250,000. Again, 1 to 3%, like all of our other loan programs. But what's unique here is that the program is amortized over 25 years. And at year 10, if you've made those consistent payments to us, it turns into a grant. So really, it's a game changer to drive a tool against rising commercial lease rates and really driving wealth and ownership through owning the property itself. This program was a little slower out the gate. So far we've closed 1 loan with 1 that has been approved but not closed, along with 3 loans that are in the pipeline. So I mentioned this one was a little slower. In the last 2 months, maybe 3 months, we've made changes to the program that have increased the pool of eligible applicants. The challenge with this program is that you still need to find the other 50% funder. And because most of the businesses that we're targeting typically have challenges accessing that typical funder, it's a little harder for us. But we remained committed to this. We have a stronger pipeline of leads as well. And I also feel confident that eventually we'll get to full dispersal of this program. That's Concept House. Concept House was that one approved program that I mentioned. They're in Castleberry Hill. What's really unique about this is a co-working space, but also has micro studio manufacturing capabilities. So a really cool opportunity. The last part of our program is asset building or technical assistance. So one of the things that Invest Atlanta has realized in the last couple of years is that oftentimes applying to a loan or a grant is itself a barrier. So if you've never done it before, if you're not aware of what an income statement is or cash flow projections are, or how you ultimately are able to put together your documents to have a successful loan or grant, you may not even start the application process. Or maybe you start and get through step 1 or 2, but don't do 6 through 10. So we have a dedicated group of technical assistance providers who sit down one by one with these small businesses and help them to put forward that successful application. I can't see the numbers, but if I'm recalling correctly, it's almost 900 hours in technical assistance that have been provided to 122 businesses. You might ask me, Noah, I see there the number of applications is in the mid 300s. How do we then get to 122? Well, oftentimes what we find is that a lot of the businesses who are applying for these programs, either one, aren't in the city of Atlanta, or if they are, they don't have a business license. So a business license is a component that we require as a part of the program. So what we do is they go into a waiting pool and we assign someone on our team to be able to help them to get that business license so that they can ultimately access that needed service so they can apply successfully. This is Kindred Healing Center on Jonesboro Road in Lakewood. Kindred Healing Center was actually able to take advantage of, I believe, a loan and a technical assistance to be able to support their location there in Jonesboro Road. So what are we focused on? Of course, seeing the Atlanta Startup Growth Loan Program off the ground. We're also in the we're in the pre-planning stages of an end-of-year celebration event in January, with ultimately the goal to get all funds out by December of 2024, with my own internal goal of a full quarter before then. But thank you very much. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Appreciate the update. Colleagues, we've been joined by Councilman Byron Amos, which has allowed us to keep our quorum. Any questions or comments? All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
Next up, Section G,
Miracle, run.
Communications, item number 1.
Item number 1 is 23C5120, a communication from Community Development Human Services Committee on the creation of the Little Five Points City Business Improvement District as authorized by OCGA 3643-1 at sequential for and based on the written consent of the majority of municipal taxpayers within the district, and is authorized by Resolution 23R4346 adopted by the Atlanta City Council on November 6, 2023, and for other purposes.
I'll make a motion to hold for a December 12th public hearing. Second by Bakhtiari. Please open that vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays. That item is held. Item number 4.
Item number 4 is 23O-1674, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee to reconcile contract balances for the contract number listed here after school meal program with Social Express Catering and Meal Prep LLC, pay for the expenses associated with the previous programming year in an amount of $65,490.61 to be charged to paid from the accounts number listed herein and for purposes. Item number 5 is 23O-1675, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee to correct ordinance 23O-1341, authorizing the city to acquire from the Conservation Fund approximately 1.89 acres of real property located at 123 and 145 Dearborn Street Southeast, Atlanta, Georgia 30317, which was adopted by the Atlanta City Council on August 7, 2023, and approved by Mayor Andre Dickens on August 11, 2023, on behalf of the Department of Parks and Recreation by identifying the correct task number. All parts of the legislation shall remain unchanged. All other parts of the legislation shall remain unchanged, and for other purposes. And then item 6 is 23O-1676, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee amending the FY 2024 budget intergovernmental grant fund by adding to anticipations and appropriations in the amount of $781,653.00, increasing the budget amount authorized by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the City of Atlanta's Section 8 Moderate Rehabilitation Program for the Santa Fe Villas Housing Complex and for other purposes.
Thank you. On to the ordinances for second reading. Let's take 7, 9, and 11 as a block.
Item number 7 is 23O-1627, CDP 2314, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 985 Gun Club Road, 989 Gun Club Road, 993 Gun Club Road, 1005 Gun Club Road, Hollywood Drive, 2082 Hollywood Drive, 2086 Hollywood Drive, 2090 Hollywood Drive, 2094 Hollywood Drive, and 960 Cato Street, 984 Cato Street, 988 Cato Street, 992 Cato Street, 996 Cato Street, from the low-density residential 0 to 8 units per acre land use designation to the high-density residential land use designation and for other purposes. Item number 9 is 23-0-1629, CDP 2320, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 2348 Hosea L. Williams Drive Northeast from the single-family residential land use designation to the low-density commercial land use designation and for other purposes. And item number 11 is 23-0-1631, CDP 2323, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 667 and 673 Thurman Street Northwest from the single-family residential land use designation to the medium-density residential land use designation and for other purposes.
All right. Any questions or comments on those three items? I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Bakhtiari. Please open that vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Those items are favorable. Item number 8.
Eight is 23-0-1628, CDP 2318, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 1407 Beecher Street Southwest from the single-family residential land use designation to the medium-density residential land use designation and for other purposes.
This application has been withdrawn, so I will make a motion to file. Second by Bakhtiari.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays. That item is filed. Number 10.
Number 10 is 23-0-1630, CDP 2321, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 657 Jones Avenue Northwest from the single-family residential land use designation to the medium-density residential land use designation and for other purposes.
Mr. Amos, this item is in District 3. I'll entertain whatever motion you'd like to do.
Motion to approve.
All right, we've got a motion to approve, which I will second. Please open that vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays. That item is favorable. Number 12.
Number 12 is 23-0-1643, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee authorizing the mayor on behalf of the Department of Parks and Recreation to accept a reimbursement grant from the Georgia Recreation and Parks Association in an amount not to exceed $200,000.00 in accordance with Section 2-910 of the Atlanta Code and authorizing an amendment to the fiscal year 2024 intergovernmental grant fund budget to anticipate and appropriate, and authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Georgia Recreation and Park Association and for other purposes.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Voss? All right, I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Bakhtiari.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays. That item is favorable. I will make a motion to bring forward a substitute for number 13. Second by Bakhtiari.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays. The substitute is before us. If you will read in that caption.
It's 23-0-1649, a substitute an ordinance by council members Andrea L. Boone, Keisha Shawn Waits, Marcy Collier Overstreet, Michael Julian Bond, Dustin Hillis, and Matt Westmoreland is substituted by CDHS to erect a historical marker in the Isabel Gates Webster Park to acknowledge the accomplishments of Isabel Gates Webster, one of Atlanta's first female African-American attorneys and former Atlanta Municipal Court judge, and for other purposes.
Any questions or comments? All All right, I'll make a motion to, I believe we just did through the substitute. So you are good to go. You want to make the motion? Motion to approve by Waits, second by Bakhtiari. Please open that vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays. That item is favorable. 14.
Number 14, 23-0-1659, an ordinance by Councilmember Alex Wan to amend the land use element of the 2021 City of Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to designate property at 1767 North Decatur Road, 1775 North Decatur Road, 1779 North Decatur Road, and 1785 North Decatur Road, Atlanta, Georgia, 30307 to the OI land use designation, and 465 Emory Drive Northeast, Atlanta, Georgia, 30307 to the R4 single-family residential land use designation and for other purposes.
I'm going to make a motion to hold for the future CDP hearing.
Second.
Second by Bakhtiari.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays. That item is held. 15.
23-0-1662. There's a substitute in your
caption.
package.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to bring forward the substitute.
Second.
Second by Winston.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays. The substitute is before us. If you will read the new caption.
Okay, 23-0-1662, an ordinance by Councilmember Matt Westmoreland is substituted by Community Development and Human Services Committee to waive Chapter 2, Article 9, Division 1, Section 2-910, and to ratify the City of Atlanta's submission of an application on behalf of the Mayor's Office of the Chief Policy Officer, and to accept a Resilient Community Impact Funds grant in an amount not to exceed $53,000.00 to support development of a thriving neighborhood index in partnership with the Center for Urban Research, to execute any necessary grant agreements, to amend the fiscal year 2024 intergovernmental fund budget by adding to anticipations and appropriations in an amount not to exceed $53,000.00. All grant funds to be charged to and paid from the fund and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Ms. Ward.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Katie Ward. I am the Director of Strategic Partnerships in the Office of the Chief Policy Office. I'm excited to talk today about the Resilient Cities Network grant that you just heard about. It will be to support our office's development and creation of a thriving neighborhood index. This measure will be used to guide our decision-making and monitor our success in transforming neighborhoods. So in partnership with the Georgia Tech's Institute for Center for Urban Research, with Neighborhood Nexus and other partners, this work will be led by David Edwards and other members of our senior policy team to create a more holistic measure of the health of our neighborhoods. This will include quantitative measures that we already use, like income and crime statistics, as well as qualitative measures that are previously been difficult to capture in some of our other metrics for neighborhood health. So I'll pause there and answer any questions you have.
Any questions or comments? Motion by Winston to approve.
Second.
Second by Bakhtiari.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays. That item is favorable and also dual referred and will be heard in FEC tomorrow. On to resolutions.
Number 16, 23R4548, a resolution by Councilmember Andrea L. Boone authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute a cooperative purchasing agreement, golf mowing equipment, utilizing the Sourcewell contract listed here with Deere & Company on behalf of the Department of Parks and Recreation in an amount not to exceed $2 million and 0 cents annually to lease and/or purchase equipment required for continued golf course maintenance operations at 4 golf courses throughout the city of Atlanta. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the accounts listed herein and for other purposes.
Mr. Voss, I understand we are awaiting an IPRO report. Is your desire to hold this or to move it forward on condition?
We'd like to hold for one more. If
Motion
that's
to
okay.
hold.
Thank you.
Second by Bakhtiari.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays, that item is held. 17.
23R4549, a resolution by Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet authorizing the mayor or his designee, including the commissioner of the Department of City Planning on behalf of the city of Atlanta, to apply for and accept an FY 2023 community placemaking grant from the Project for Public Spaces in an amount not to exceed $100,000 for the purpose of creating an interpretive signage pilot program to identify significant African American history on certain city-owned property, and authorizing the mayor or his designee, including the commissioner of the Department of City Planning, to enter into any agreements in conjunction with the FY 2023 Community Placemaking Grant and for other purposes.
Any questions or comments? All right, motion to approve by Winston, which I will second.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays, that item is favorable. I will make a motion to bring forward a substitute for item number 18. Second by Bakhtiari.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays, the substitute is before us.
It is 23R4565, a resolution by Councilmember Matt Westmoreland, as substituted by CDHS, to authorize the City of Atlanta to donate a total amount not to exceed $2 million and 0 cents, payable in 4 equal installments of $500,000 and 0 cents from each of the fiscal year budgets for 2024, 2025, 2026, and 2027 to operate Hope, Inc., pursuant to Section 6-306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter, to support financial literacy and entrepreneurial education for City of Atlanta youth, authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a donation agreement which shall detail the action of Operation Hope, Inc., to provide financial literacy and entrepreneurial education for Atlanta youth, and to authorize the chief financial officer or his designee to make all payments from the accounts listed herein and for other purposes.
Ms. Ward.
Good afternoon again. This $2 million donation over the next 4 years will, as you've heard, be paid in 4 equal installments of $500,000 to Operation Hope to provide financial literacy classes and entrepreneurship classes to City of Atlanta youth. This program will be designed over the next 6 months and begin piloting the programming this summer of 2024. And because of the multi-year donation status of this opportunity, the youth will be able to receive programming year over year and really compound the impact of this programming. And this will be K through 12 and have designated curriculum age appropriate at each level. I'll pause there.
Any questions or comments? I'll make a motion to approve. Second by Winston.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays, that item is favorable on substitute. Number 19.
19 is 23R4578, a resolution by Community Development and Human Services Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to enter into a housing assistance payments contract with GNS Santa Fe Villas LLC effective January 1, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024 in an amount not to exceed $781,653.00 for the purpose of paying rental subsidies on behalf of 100 units for low-income, formerly homeless individuals at Santa Fe Villas, pursuant to Section 8 Moderate Rehabilitation Program, sponsored by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. All contracted work to be charged to and paid from the department, organization, and account number listed herein and for other purposes.
All right, we've got a companion paper we need to wait for, so I'm going to make a motion to hold.
Second.
Second by Bakhtiari.
The vote is open.
Five yeas, 0 nays. That item is filed. And the item 18, the Operation Hope donation, is also dual referred and will head to FEC tomorrow. Item number 20.
Number 20, 23R4579, a resolution by Community Development and Human Services Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to accept a donation from the Atlanta Braves Foundation, Inc., a state of Georgia recognized nonprofit corporation, to the City of Atlanta Department of Parks and Recreation of improvements valued at $14,931.00, which includes baseball-related equipment and facility improvements at Rosa L. Burney Park, located at 477 Windsor Street, Atlanta, Georgia, 30312, and for other purposes.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Second by Bakhtiari.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
Apologies. 5 yeas, 0 nays. That item is favorable. Item number 21.
23R4580, a resolution by Community Development and Human Services Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the Department of Parks and Recreation of the City of Atlanta to enter into agreement listed here, tennis center's operation and management with Agape Tennis Center or Tennis Academy LLC for a term of 5 years with 2 additional 2-year renewal options, which may be exercised at the city's sole discretion and for other purposes.
All right, this is a top 5 public comment topic in the last 6 years. Mr. Voss, why don't you tell us what we're doing?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Doug Voss, Department of Parks and Recreation. I'm going to invite Deputy Commissioner Rachel Maher to give you some more information about this contract. As you mentioned, we have been working through this for a number of years. This is to manage our 5 tennis centers, which is at Washington Park, Joseph McGee, Chastain, Bitsy Grant, and Sharon Lester at Piedmont. So at this time, I'd like Rachel Maher to come up and give you some more information about this contract and answer any questions you might have.
Thanks, Doug. Good afternoon, everyone. DPR is excited to move forward with this contract and to work with Agape to bring enhanced tennis programming to the City of Atlanta. Agape was selected after a competitive bidding process and has received excellent reviews from other municipalities with whom they work. This contract will have an initial 5-year term with 2 renewal options for 2 years each. It also includes a minimum annual guarantee of $300,000 and percentage of gross revenue that increases annually from 0.5% to 3.5% over the course of the agreement. We've been really impressed with the breadth of programming that Agape will offer for all ages, abilities, and incomes, and the caliber of their coaches, all certified by the U.S. Professional Tennis Association. We feel that this contract will be a benefit to Atlantans who play tennis and who want to play tennis, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have.
Questions or comments? All right, I'm going to move approval.
Second.
Second by Bakhtiari.
All right.
The vote is open.
Confetti we can shoot off or something? Like confetti we can shoot off? Champagne?
There we go. The vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays. That item is favorable. Thank you.
Mr. Vice Chair, if I could, I just wanted to recognize, we have a couple members of our staff here. The day after the previous agency that ran the centers left, the Department of Parks and Recreation stepped up and literally took over the operations with no tennis staff. And that was largely in part to 2 people. One is Charles Brown, he's our Assistant Director of Recreation, he's sitting right here, and Adrian Wright, who's sitting way in the back and doesn't want to be seen, who is our Special Events Director. You can tell by their titles, they were not tennis people. And ever since that day, we have run consistently for for 3 years and 2 months, Charles. We have offered USTA, Alta. We have offered apprentice programs thanks to council support working with USTA. We have offered daily tennis. We have offered pickleball and everything else in between. So I just wanted to acknowledge them and thank all the council members for your support and especially our staff for really stepping up. And we're really appreciative we've gotten to this point. We look forward to what we can offer the city with the tennis agreement, but just wanted to recognize their efforts. Thank you.
Appreciate you being intentional in doing that, and thank you to the two of you for handling the tennis crowds. They are vocal. We have got 4 more items that can come off held, and I believe we can take 30, 37, and 38 as a block.
That's right. 30 is 23-0-12-52, CDP 2309, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 1692 Springer Street Northwest and 0-4 Avenue Northwest rear from the single-family residential and industrial land use designations to the low-density commercial land use designation and for other purposes. Item number 37 is 23-0-14-20, CDP 2312, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 1030, 1036, 1060, and 0 Hollywood Road, 990 North Grand Avenue, and the former River Carline right-of-way from the medium-density residential 0 to 16 units per acre land use designation to the high-density residential land use designation and for other purposes. Item number 38, 23-0-14-21, CDP 2313, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 995 and 1028 North Grand Avenue Northwest, 60 Mildred Place Northwest, 1006, 1008, 1014, 1016, and 1018 Hollywood Road Northwest, and the former River Carline right-of-way from the medium-density residential 0 to 16 units per acre land use designation to the high-density residential land use designation and for other purposes.
Any questions or comments? Motion to approve, second by Winston.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Those items are favorable. Final item of the day, number 39.
23-0-14-23, CDP 2316, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 1990 DeFore Avenue Northwest from the medium-density residential 0 to 16 units per acre land use designation to the high-density residential land use designation and for other purposes.
I'm going to make a motion to file. Is there a second? Second by Bakhtiari.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
5 yeas, 0 nays. That item is filed. Colleagues, one quick general remark. You were emailed earlier today a progress report on the 2023 goals and objectives. So I want to flag that for you. Any other comments? All right. Final committee meeting of the year, Tuesday, December 12th at 1:30. Until then, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Angels we have heard above, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strain.